Life is unpredictable. Our sense of stability and security diminished after facing a global health crisis, natural disasters, mass shootings, and intensified struggles with poverty and racism. However challenging and heartbreaking, these circumstances are part of the human experience. Because they happen to so many of us, these experiences are known as collective trauma. Collective trauma is a life-altering event that disrupts our well-being and causes harm and suffering to many people. It has long-lasting effects on our minds, bodies, and emotions. It is essential to recognize the impact of collective trauma in recent years and how our lived experiences may compound it. Maybe you have recently lost someone you love or are struggling with a chronic illness. Perhaps you're battling depression, addiction, or living with someone who is. Millions have lost their jobs during the pandemic. Some may have experienced an awful breakup or divorce. Many of us still carry the wounds from traumatic events during our childhood. How are you dealing with your collective trauma and your lived experience? Reflecting on these things might feel heavy, but the good news is you're not alone. We all experience some trauma in our lives. Still, just as we all experience trauma, we also have the extraordinary capacity to learn, heal, change, and grow. When exposed to positive, caring connections with other living beings, the human brain will adapt and change. This lesson is about discovering what collective trauma is, identifying how it impacts us all, and learning how to heal together. After this video, we will invite you to explore our website for some contemplative practices that can help you improve your physical and mental health. Now that we have defined collective trauma, let's learn how it impacts us. We are grateful to have an opportunity to learn from Dr. Junda Woo, Medical Director and Local Authority of Metro Health.
Our collective survival has depended upon mutual aid that we see in infants, we see in anthropology, we see in the animal kingdom, and that is an act of demonstrating compassion when we see a need or suffering in another individual. COVID-19 was a collective trauma for our community, our nation, the globe. During the pandemic, as the local health authority for the local public health department, it was my job to communicate a lot, and it wouldn't have been possible, really, to do the work without compassion because, especially as our society started to diverge and sometimes have some polarization around parts of the COVID response, we really needed to try to stand in other people's shoes to understand this. It was hard for me until really recently to even talk about that time without crying. It was hard. And at some point, I intellectually knew, that's reasonable, right? But then I got tired of it. I said, all right, but what is it? What am I stuck on? Well, feelings come from thoughts. So what is the thought that is underlying this feeling that you have? And as I dug down, I realized that my thought was not a rational one. My thought was like, I failed. I failed to hold back COVID from our community, which is, there are some flaws in that thought process. So once I realized that, it got better. When we see trauma that hasn't been healed, we see the cycle of violence, domestic violence, but also youth violence, historical trauma for our races, for our indigenous people, and the way that we continue to see unresolved resentment that is a part of the trauma that's not being healed. Unhealed trauma keeps you stuck. You are frozen at a place and unable to move forward together and possibly still harming those around you. You're not going to heal or get better as much as if you actually acknowledge it and then start to work on it. Collective healing looks like when we forget about our tribal differences and reach out after a disaster or a trauma, knowing how we can all do that together and create an environment where other people can heal too. Knowing about support groups, whether it's in person, whether it's virtual, nurturing friendships, nurturing the things that let you become whole again, whatever that is for you. I have a lot of hope because the arc of history, even though we may take a few steps back over time, we go forward and there are tools to heal. The brain is plastic and wants to heal. So this is a valuable opportunity.
Now that we have learned a bit about collective trauma and how it affects us, here are some healing practices that you can try on your own or with others. Take care of yourself. Notice your breath and what is happening in your body. If you notice tension, take deep breaths. Go outside or watch a show, listen to a podcast that makes you laugh or inspires you. Take care of one another. Listen deeply to each other and spend time in supportive relationships like faith communities, with friends, family, and healing circles. Take care of your community. Volunteer, vote, join community organizations, attend memorials, vigils, and protests. We hope you enjoyed this video. These are just a few ways to deal with the stress and trauma that is part of our human experience. For more resources and to continue learning, please visit the link on the screen and join the Compassionate USA Skills course.